You mentioned Tim Howard before, and as you know, we have a history of having great goalkeepers here in the U.S. What do you think it is about the United States that we're able to have so many great goalkeepers? Is it something in the water, or do you think
I think sometimes it's an anomaly. I remember when there was a time my last season in England with Fulham, there was, myself, Tim, Marcus Hanneman, and Brad Friedel. So 1/5 of the starting goalkeepers in the English Premier League were American, but at the same time, there was also 3 starting goalkeepers in the English Premier League from Finland. Now, sometimes you just have those interesting situations where the competition between each other or just a weird lucky lottery thing where you develop 3 guys at the same time that could all start your national team. There was times when I think the English national team was blessed with all these goalkeepers, and then now they're struggling to get some guy that happens to be playing in the Premier League because it's so foreign goalkeeper heavy. But I think there has been a big history. I think some of it has been because some of us have been successful, then that opens the door for somebody else. There's not a stereotype against. When I first got over there, every interview I gave was more or less prefaced by what is an American doing here playing soccer, and what is an American player doing here playing so well. And then once that kind of went away, and it went away to that, okay, that's just you. You're not an American, you're just Kasey Keller, a goalkeeper for Millwall, Leicester City, Tottenham, whichever team I happened to be with at that time. And that was kind of, but once the chairmans and the coaches, and it's easy to sign a Brazilian. It's easy to go and talk your chairman into spending a couple $1 million to go buy this Brazilian player, but it's not that easy still to go sign that American player. And I think what had happened was because of a few of us were successful, it became that much easier for teams to go say, look, I think this American kid can play goal for you. And what's nice now is, I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm pretty sure it's 30, 40, 50 kids playing around in different leagues in Europe, and with a healthy MLS. But we definitely have had a history of growing good goalkeepers, and I don't see that ending anytime soon. There's the old cliche that we play all the sports as kids with our hands, and therefore we must be good. Must have good goalkeepers, but. As you all know now, we have a lot of kids playing soccer on the field and in a lot of other sports, so it's a good time.
I believe the U.S. soccer team will get its ticket for the World Cup next year in Brazil, and what's your assessment of the performance?
Well, I believe we will, yes. I believe we will qualify. I don't think it's necessarily going to be it's not as easy of a journey as a lot of people think. When I talk to my friends, obviously having spent so much time in Europe, and they talk about, in CONCACAF, you guys should cruise qualifying and have no problem. Qualifying from Europe is so much more difficult. And yes, I understand the difficulties of qualifying for Europe and the amount of quality teams, but at the same time, take a good, solid European team. Take the things that Republic of Ireland did in their time. Not a huge nation, footballing nation, but were able to qualify for World Cups and European Championships and things like that. And I played with a lot of those guys, and then they said, go play in El Salvador on a noon kickoff, and when you've got your stadium surrounded by guys with machine guns, and it's 100 degrees and 95% humidity, and the president the day before had declared it a national holiday for the day of qualifying, and the local radio station has put up speaker towers in front of your hotel and had that loud music going on all night, and guaranteed 2 or 3 fire alarms are going to be pulled. It's not as easy as it would sound to go in and win those games, and so it is a difficult journey. I think what's nice is, since 1990, we have consistently qualified. And we forget kind of how at different times it was more difficult than it seemed. We must have been for 2002, where we have our best ever final in the World Cup and losing in the quarterfinals to Germany. But in the first round of qualifying, we were 16 minutes away from being knocked out in the first round. And that all gets kind of swept under the table because of how well the team did. You forget, oh yeah, we qualified, it's not big deal. You forget how difficult sometimes those journeys are. And then when you come into what kind of Jurgen has done in coming in and trying to change a complete mindset to try to break it down to move it forward, there's going to be some pushback at times. And also, maybe you look at, just as there was maybe a strong depth in goalkeeping, maybe it's one of those times when maybe it's a little bit thinner in the overall quality within the team as well at this particular time, because of injuries, because of age, was because of transitions between, this group of players that has been playing with the team for so long is now kind of, we all get older, so maybe that group is passed in, and then you're waiting for that next big core of young guys to really grab a hold of those positions. You're waiting for the Matt Bieslers and the Omar Gonzalez's to really say, okay, we are the new center backs for this team for the next 10 years. We were blessed in, I think, many ways of having a group of players. I spent, my first trips with the national team were in the summer of '89, and my last game with the national team was in 2007. So there was a lot of young goalkeepers that thought they were maybe going to get an opportunity with the national team at some time, and those of us just kind of kept them out. And I think it was the same with the Claudio Reynas and the Ernie Stewarts and the Kobe Joneses of the world, who just kept they had a really good core. And now that main core is gone, and Jurgen has a big task of finding that group of guys that can really grab a hold of those positions. And it's difficult, especially when you come in and there's an expectation upon Jurgen that he's going to wave a magic wand and the team is now going to be competing for semifinals and getting into finals of World Cups. And it's a difficult task, and it's one thing that's always hard. The Americans, I have a different perspective spending so much time in Europe. The Americans like to invent a sport and call themselves world champions. And it's a little bit difficult once you actually have to play a sport where 200 plus countries, where every person in that country's dream is to play for their national team. I remember when I was playing in Spain, and Sergio Garcia saying, I'd give up any major I would win in golf to play one match for Real Madrid. That's what football means in the rest of the world, and it's we don't quite have that. And so we have a lot more obstacles to kind of navigate. But what we've done as a country in my time, as a soccer player from the 80s until now is truly remarkable. And we still have some obstacles to go, but it's a healthy position now and continuing to grow.
I know you mentioned having a core group of players that have stayed with the US team for a while. Now you think back to Landon Donovan when we first started, and he's continued to be a staple with the US team. Is it weird then to now see him be excluded from the national team?
Well, I think Landon, had understood that when he took kind of that sabbatical, and he kind of went away, that he needed to. There's a risk when you do something like that, and Landon knew that, and I think there's a line of communication between the two of them. And the key is for Landon just to continue to play well for the LA Galaxy, and I think everything will fall into place, because I think if you look at kind of the squads, you'd have to think that Landon Donovan would be an important part of the U.S. squad going forward. But it's just a case of, I think, him proving it with the Galaxy, and then kind of mending a few bridges between him and Jurgen, and then just kind of moving on and going forward, because I believe that a healthy, motivated, fit Landon is a benefit to the U.S. national team for a few years left, or more than a few years if so desired.